concerns are being raised in the disabled community that there's a lack of consideration between aspects of the Road Traffic Act and the Disabilities Act, where individuals are illegally parking in spaces designated for members of their group. Here to share his perspective is Foundation for the Disabled Project Manager, Cleon Porter. Morning, Cleon. Welcome to Smile Jamaica. It's morning time.
Morning.
You know, I see this. First of all, are there enough spaces for disabled parking?
That's a very good question.
Are there enough? I see some in some areas.
Token look like
There's
one
some
and two.
one and two. Some places I go, there is none.
None.
Is there enough?
I don't think there is enough. There need to be enough, and there are places that have the parking, and when you look it fade out. So they need to be repainted and be visible. And even though those that are there is occupied with chalice and different other things inside of it, and cones in business places, public places, private places. So if you reduce the number, because persons who drive up in their vehicle, disabled persons, have to park somewhere in the regular parking because they are not strong enough to move these big barriers that is in the way. They're not able to come out and move these cones. Why a disabled person have to go through so much when the able-bodied person go into a public place, a private place to park? They drive in easily, come out easily. They don't have any barrier to move. So why the weak amongst us has to move barriers out of these places and has to move cone? And we want that to stop, and we are serious about it because this has to stop, because the United Nations speak of these things to government to adjust United Nations Convention Article 4. Speak of it, said government must
put things in place,
facilitate,
abolish laws that needs to abolish, and legislation, and get it up to date.
Yeah.
You know, Harris, you raise a very, very important point, and I've never really thought about it until now. If you drive into a typical plaza in Jamaica, for example, and there are 100 spots, if you see one spot for disabled parking, you're lucky, you know. You probably will see one. You're not going to really see two or three. And I think about what happens in the United States. There's usually ample, but also you're not going to find an able-bodied person parking their car in a disabled spot.
Yes,
it's not going to happen.
Because in the US, it's $300 US.
Fine.
United States, fine. And in Jamaica, in the RTA Act, Road Traffic Act, there's nothing where the offenses we want, those who are looking at, we want in the Road Traffic Act, speak specifically about the disabled parking and let it be a fine that is meaningful, that will deter a person to park in these spaces, just like America and the other countries around the world. So that person to think before they're parking, and give police also the power for private property. When you have private property, you're supposed to ensure that if you put your cones and trolleys like in the supermarkets in the parking space, you must be fined. These private institutions or government institutions must be fined, and it must be considerably.
Are you folks consulted when these policies, legislation, XYZ being put in place? There would have been no consultation with you about this, or the foundation, or the no?
There are some amount of consultation, but I think it is woefully lacking.
Gotcha.
The Jamaica Council Person with Disability, that's a government-run agency. They are the one who the government would invite in. But when you're having these type of thing, when a government-run agency will not be robust as a non-governmental agency to look out, because you have to remember, if the government cannot push the government, so you have to have
other voices advocating. But wouldn't you all feed up into the government agency would be liaising with the government responsible agencies, but wouldn't there be some kind of bubble up, like
yes, there are talks,
feedback loop?
There are talks, but it's just like the act. The act have teeth but it is not biting.
Correct.
And I'm saying to Jamaica,
Gotcha.
it's time for the act to bite. And our organization, we're going to ensure that the act bite.
How?
So somebody think, Simone asked a question.
Because we are going to do right. And when we right, and if it is not taken into consideration, we're going to take the other steps. You understand? And they will have to answer to the United Nations Convention. They will have to answer to the United Nations because we are a signatory. Jamaica is a signatory of United Nations Convention. Yeah.
You know, Cleon, something I pointed out at a conference that we had, and I said to them, you know, you have to understand that some people become challenged in different ways through accident, through health issues, a number of things. So as citizens, we have to be a little bit more aware. People get because of age.
Very well.
So it's almost every household in Jamaica that's going to be affected somehow. So we all, it's not just the community now that has to have a voice. We all have to join in. But what are some of the things that, if I'm a business owner watching, what are some of the things that you also want to see improved? Because one of the things you raised, and I'm not going to lie, sometimes when you're turning, you say, oh my God, is a disabled parking spot because it's on the ground. I know in the States they have a sign.
Yeah, there are some business places that have the sign also. But anytime the government see these things as really important and put the necessary fine, that's the time everybody's going to shape up because how human being operate in psychology. If they see you are serious, they fall in line. It's just like we Jamaicans, when we are in Jamaica, persons would just drive in and throw their thing through the window and stand up and urinate anywhere in public place. But when these same persons,
you do what you can get away with
the different country, everybody adjusts. You can't believe it's the same person.
Do you get a parking sticker also on your vehicle?
Yes, Jamaica, once you register as a person with disability,
you get a parking sticker.
You go by the Jamaica Council, you're registered, and they give you a parking sticker that you put up. So, as we said earlier, the government need to give the police with the necessary powers that to go on these private property and look and to take action on these private property for the disabled.
Yeah. I have one final question. We talk about government a lot. Government can put things in place. Yes. But I think we have a cultural disconnect in this country.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's got to be some responsibility on each of us as individuals to respect the disabled community and know that if we see the sign on the floor or we're not parking there.
That's very
so
true.
Outside of your message to government, what do you want to say to us as Jamaicans who are watching, who sometimes just don't have any consideration for the community by virtue of doing these very things that you speak of?
As what Delia said earlier, we have to remember that today, they're saying that today you're up and tomorrow can be down. So we have to remember that we're strong today. It doesn't mean we're going to be strong tomorrow.
Yep.
And we are a nation of Christian background. So we must have our own heart. We don't need to have any stick around our back to do good.
Facts.
Do good and good will follow you.
Facts.
Because if you continue to do the bad, you're going to get the negative repercussion for it.
Facts.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah.
Excellent message. Boy, I tell you. I wish we could take what was right with Jamaica and fix what is wrong. We just have to keep trying. Keep trying.
Yeah. And we're going to ensure that things change because we're not going to let off. And there are many other issues, but we can only take them one by one.
Come back and talk about them.
Yes, there are many issues, my burning issues.
Here.
All right, my darling. Foundation for the Disabled Project Manager, Cleon Porter.
Coming up next, Jaria Honor Award recipient Leroy Thompson. He's one of ours. He's a big deal. We'll talk to him when we come back.